Good morning, Samoa, and welcome back to Star Trek Prodigy Season 2, Episode 3. Man, it's been ages since last we spoke, hasn't it? Where today we're going to be talking about Prodigy Season 2, Episode 3, I guess. Yes, where, first off, of course, what we're actually going to be doing is I did some homework, because I was trying to think how exactly the timeline would change. And I remember from season 1, right? You have some time over here, before 84, before season 1. You've got the protostar launches, right? And it goes off to the Delta Quadrant. You know, it has some fun. Chakotay is then coming back, and he hits an anomaly. That sends him way over there. Chakotay sends over there, and then the protostar goes that way. We already talked about it. And then, at, like, some point, right? Solum, yes, I did choose to use paint so that it would be messy. Solum has first contact, and then the Civil War. The first contact is totally unrelated to the protostar. In fact, I kind of feel like the anomaly that sent Chakotay here is the anomaly he sends the protostar through, not the one that the protostar eventually creates, if you follow this very clear diagram. But, I mean, maybe he was just wrong, I guess. Yes, anyway, this episode, I thought there's going to be very little to say about it. And there still is. But then at the end, I was like, actually, that's enough to do a live stream. Netflix. We'll actually see if it does end up being like basically 10 minutes of video. I'll just finish the whole thing and then review it at the end. Oh yeah, and if somehow you're new, no spoilers past episode 3. We're not talking about anything past episode 3, and I can't slip up because I haven't seen those episodes yet. Yeah. It was actually surprisingly nice seeing Chakotay again and hearing his voice. Obviously still Chakotay. He was in season 1. I mean, he was in the last episode. But, you know, he was like he was a recording. You know, he was never really there, or it was like a flashback. It was actually kind of nice to be like, hello, I'm Captain Chakotay of the USS Protostar. Again, I think he slipped into the role very, very well. There was a line or two where I thought he was kind of like emotionless or a little stoic, but I was like, hang on, Chakotay was always a little emotionless, wasn't he? He doesn't exactly have his voice like go off into, you know. He sounded like Chakotay. God, my throat is gonna have to get to the end of the week. The Infinity, I really don't like as a design. Nothing about the Infinity is Starfleet. That is all I have to say about it. Yeah, well, just this episode. Again, I'm enjoying it. I enjoyed watching through it. Not the sort of thing you'd have a lot to commentate on. But the big thing about this episode was the ending. Which isn't the direction I thought the season was going to be going in. In hindsight, maybe I should have. I was actually wondering at the end, like, wow, they're really wrapping up, like getting Chakotay. Are we going to go off and do something else this season? But no, I guess we have to save the timeline. I don't know, it's interesting. Like, is this a galactic threat? Is the universe broken? Or is it just like a personal journey for to get like the crew of the protostar, you know, the Del and stuff? What's happening to Rok-Tahk back on Voyager? It was interesting that Gwen did cease to exist, which presumably would have happened if the mission was a complete success. Oh no, I guess, yeah, they wanted to do it after the protostar was sent. Never mind. But yeah, I thought the ending was well done. I'm interested to see where this goes. How Gwen can save her people while, like, Marty McFlying out of the universe. A little nervous. We won't really get so much, like, first contact stuff as I wanted when Gwen is going through all of this. You know, the fact she's not going to exist soon. And I don't know how she's going to get out of this situation. So I guess well done for a cliffhanger. I mean, she's going to get out of the situation. But yeah. It was good. As I said, not in a sort of way we typically have a lot to say. For the sake of my throat, tomorrow or Wednesday, I might have to give up and review Prodigy in batches. I will say that. Especially because I do think the reviews will be kind of shorter. Noticing as well, we barely had any Dr. Janeway. Chakotay was a mainstay. He'll probably be pretty major throughout a lot of this. But I wonder if they're more supporting cast than main characters. If that makes sense. Oh, God. Netflix. Yeah, I mean, we're still getting enough of them. We're getting more of these characters. That's always nice. I am interested, though, how you'd, like, undo the situation that's just happened. I feel like you can't really just have Chakotay go send the Protostar off to Tals Lamor, right? Because even the people of Solum, whose name I should know, not Solus, but Solum, I did look that up, like, would they still send their 100 people out to look for the Protostar if Chakotay actually managed to escape with it? The construct isn't on board, so I guess there's how you prevent Chakotay from just going straight back to the Federation. But it will be interesting to see how we actually apply the changes to the timeline, because time has changed. So, like, is Janeway still going to be over by the wormhole? Maybe proximity to the anomaly means they're not affected. I don't know. You could hand wave it. As they've said, there have been a lot of causal loops in Starfleet history. It's just a shame they didn't name any. That really bugged me. The Bell Riots wasn't a causal loop because they showed how Gabriel Bell's picture changed to Sisko, and Sisko would have known if Gabriel Bell had looked exactly like he did beforehand. And in First Contact, arguably a causal loop, but we did see the Borg assimilate Earth from the perspective of Picard before he went back in time, so that also wasn't the original timeline. Whoops-a-doodle. Anyway. There's an example of references just for the sake of references. I'm sure there's, like, more than what... That time they met Mark Twain, that's a, like, legit causal loop. But, yeah. I was thinking as well I guess, reveal that they were always along to help. Del and crew were the reason Chakotay could escape in the first place. Yeah, I guess it makes sense that this whole thing was a causal loop, because the quote-unquote first time Chakotay set the Protostar through the temporal anomaly that the Protostar would one day create. Oh, I remember. Didn't holographic Janeway set the Protostar to, like, exactly create the temporal anomaly that sent Chakotay to Solum in the first place? So that's why the Protostar presumably leaves through a different anomaly, and yeah, that's how he could enter the first time. No, it still checks out. I guess it's a little weird the anomaly could exist twice, but you can handwave it. Like I said, you could just say Chakotay assumes it's the same anomaly, but it turns out to be a different anomaly. I don't know. But I am interested to see where the story goes, and I do hope... I do hope it's consistent, it's satisfying, like, logically. I have just remembered the people who are writing this season are the people who wrote Time Amok? Time Amok. It's the Prodigy time travel one that everybody else loved, and claim it's, like, the greatest time travel story ever, despite not actually containing time travel, as the episode explains itself. It's an awful episode that simultaneously needs 3 different things to be going on for the time travel to work. All of them are mutually exclusive. Yeah, bad episode. I don't know why people like it. So hopefully This is not a one of those situations. This is actually good. Because so far, I mean, we're following. We all saw my Microsoft Paint document. Like, so far, I'm following. It makes sense. I love my Microsoft Paint document. But that chuckle I gave earlier, the Voyager A cutout is just so weird. Because it's a Sovereign class, and then you look at the front, and it suddenly becomes Voyager. It is... What did Captain Freeman say? I hate it when a ship goes in for repairs and it comes out looking all Sovereign class. Did they know? Did they know internally? Had they seen the Protostar? But yeah, I would expect that, like, the whole season pretty much is going to take place in this, like, 52 years in the future kind of business. Especially knowing some stuff about the episode titles. But like, it does seem the sort of win condition is Chakotay comes home. So I do kind of suspect Janeway in the Doctor and stuff. I don't really see a way that the Voyager A gets involved in this. Maybe eventually they figure out a way to go through the wormhole. But like, they've got Rok-Tahk on board too. And you can't have the season without Rok-Tahk. I don't know. Like, it's good, I guess. I can't really see where the season is going. I mean, eventually, you know, it's going to end up with time fixed. Chakotay's brought home and Solom's averted a civil war. Like, yeah. But still, the journey is like a big question mark. I don't even see how you get the Voyager A involved. And maybe you don't. It'd be weird to not have Rok-Tahk. I could understand not having the legacy characters. They're greater than cameos, but, you know, not as prevalent as our main cast. God, and this was a funny bit. So, immediately, what is our Vulcan's name? Have they said it? I have no idea. Have they said her name? To something, presumably, covers their ears, right? Why? At first I was like, is it obviously, like, oh, that's what Vulcans do, but that's because aliens look like humans and their ears are a giveaway. But there's still obviously an alien on this planet, and so is everybody else. I think later it's supposed to be so Chakotay doesn't know they're Vulcan, even though Alpha Quadrant species can get here. Maybe Chakotay doesn't know it's 52 years in the future. It seems weird. Like, you had, not Han Solo over here. Okana, that's his name. He could get to the Delta Quadrant just fine. And, like, Chakotay knows he went through a temporal anomaly. But, and, like, they hide the Vulcan nerve pinch, right? For some reason, they don't want Chakotay to know this is a Vulcan. Which is interesting, because this is very clearly a Tellarite. Like, that's straight up a Tellarite. What exactly is hiding your Vulcan heritage doing? Because that's a Tellarite. I don't know. It felt really weird. Yeah, I mean, yes, Zero's also a Medusan, but I would understand Chakotay not knowing what a Medusan looks like. That one is fair. It's kind of the whole point of Medusans. One day we're gonna see amazing these guys at a con. Someone making a lot of armor. But yeah, I don't think I have too much to say about the Solom stuff for this episode. I was surprised they, like, confronted the elders right away, but I guess what else is Gwen gonna do? Yeah, as I said, really not a whole lot to say about this episode. I do like, I like seeing Chakotay, and I don't remember the species name. But yeah, some casual alien racism. I'm not gonna let that slide. Especially from Chakotay, where he's like, no, he does have a point about the bird puns. Trust me, I'm a rather insensitive Native American stereotype, or a conglomeration, or whatever. Do you think that's why he picked Chakotay picked this guy as the first officer? He's I like to imagine the entire crew of the Protostar has like is somehow associated with something problematic, and so they get together every like weekend for some sort of like AA meeting. And it's like one day Chakotay talks about his vision quests, and then the next day there's just like a bunch of insensitive bird puns, you know, which is it's Starfleet's problematic crew. I don't think we're going to be seeing a vision quest this season, believe it or not. That was something the roommate I mentioned before. Yeah, that's Chakotay is a problematic character. If somehow you don't know, because actually maybe some people just haven't seen Voyager. Chakotay is a fake Native American. I mean, the character of Chakotay, we'll start there, is a Native American from a nondescript, fictitious tribe. I don't remember where from. I think it's either Central or South America. There's an episode about it. That's basically his character. So supposedly you see some stuff. You know, he has like vision quests. There's Native American spiritualism surrounding the character. The reason it's hard to describe is because Voyager's Native American cultural consultant, whatever the title was outed as a fraud. And when I say was outed as a fraud, I mean he was outed as a fraud before they hired him for Voyager. Thank you, Rick Berman. So obviously he's a rather problematic misunderstanding of sort of like random conglomeration of Native American stereotypes from a cultural consultant who was like, yeah, I like heard of a vision quest. It's something about drugs, and bam, there you go. That's Chakotay. Okay, that is a big but. But yeah, otherwise, I mean, he's a fine character. He serves his purpose. He was a Maquis cell leader, like a terrorist cell leader, who joined the Voyager crew as the first officer, to kind of, help union the Maquis crew and the Voyager Starfleet crew. And yeah, that's Chakotay. But I did like seeing it. I mean, it's kind of interesting because these were all events that were like shown to us as being in the past, even though where most of us are used to of Star Trek, they are kind of in the slight future. And I'm enjoying it. Surprisingly, I'm enjoying a like Captain Chakotay mission. But I didn't have any problem with Chakotay. I mean, I'm like, yeah, he's fine. He's Chakotay. He's a bit bland, I guess. He was in Voyager, and his name isn't Janeway the Doctor or Seven, so, he was a little bland, but he's fine. I was about to say he's inoffensive, but the whole point is he's not inoffensive. It's just other than his offensive parts, he's an inoffensive person. Man, that's weird. I should watch Voyager again. We should do Voyager. Yeah, again, not much to say about this trial by combat. It was just, I guess, an excuse for some cool fight scenes. I guess narratively, the story plays out about how you'd expect until the last 5 minutes or so there's not a whole lot to talk about. I think the solution of using Jankum's arm to unlock the force field is good. I mean, it doesn't make sense, really, that Jankum Pog could do something that these two aren't able to with the force fields, because he is, like, not even a cadet, and that's a captain and first officer. So it's a good way to say that you needed, specifically Jankum, but, this crew to be here to save Chakotay, and why they can't do it on their own. You could have some fun moments, good for the kids. And yeah, it is interesting as well seeing like the Dreadnought type robots and the little spider things. I don't remember what these things are called. It's like a weird almost nostalgic Netflix. It's like an almost nostalgic visit. Well, meanwhile, you have like Zero looking like this. And, you know, everyone looks quite different, and they've clearly grown from where they were the last time we saw all of these assets. I guess we'll call them 3D assets. Again, I mean, you do have to make Chakotay kind of comically unobservant. I mean, there are more important things, but like, yeah, where did you get a tricorder? Clearly, you're a Vulcan. I mean, he's in Starfleet. He's worked with Tuvok. Surely he knows what this means. Like, he has to know. Oh, it is funny. I get why they didn't, but that everyone takes off their shirt because they don't want them to know that they're in Starfleet uniforms, right? Even though Chakotay wouldn't recognize their Starfleet uniform. But everyone leaves their pants on, despite having the exact same design. Like, the pants are as Starfleet as the shirt when you've never seen that uniform before. But yeah, going on, as I said, this was the interesting bit. Like, this is, I guess, where we're really getting started with the season. So I hope, actually, if that is the case, that we're not really properly, like, starting the season till now. Because this functionally is episode 2. I've talked before how episode 2s generally have to set up the season. I hope the whole, like, Gwen thing, with her doing that trial by combat and now stuck in a pit, isn't sort of artificially delaying the Gwen storyline. Like, I hope that actually goes along at the same pace as the, we'll call this the A-plot, with, like, the Protostar and the time shenanigans. Because that would be disappointing, especially for how much potential it has, for me personally, especially. Like, for example, if you don't know what I'm getting at, in Deep Space Nine, the final kind of 10 episodes, like the mega 10-part thing they do. And I'll try to avoid spoilers as much as I can for Deep Space Nine. But with Gul Dukat's role in that 10-parters, they bring him in really early and like kind of put him in place. They get him with Wynn, and like they start that storyline. And then they realize as writers, this is how I've heard the writers describe it, that like, oh crap, he's like way too close to like his story's almost wrapped up and we're like 3 episodes into the 10-parter. So they had to like write him out for like 5 episodes until they were ready for him again because his story was just going too quickly. So what they do, if you remember, is they just like make him blind for 5 episodes and like go living on the streets. And then they bring him back when everyone else's story is like 70% done. So I hope similar things don't happen to Gwen. Like we started this story for Gwen and then we have to go sit her in a corner for like 5 episodes because her story just isn't as long. That'd be disappointing. I mean, I'd rather just cut Gwen. Maybe there's some contractual thing about how much the voice actress has to appear, but I'd rather just cut Gwen from the episodes that don't need her if her story really can't be filled. But again, I think there's enough room in the First Contact story. There's so much you could do with that setting. If anything, that story has just competition from the A-plot, not a lack of substance. But yeah, next episode is called Temporal Mechanics 101. So, you know, the next episodes are Temporal Mechanics 101 and Observer's Paradox. We are absolutely getting into the meat of things. You know what, actually, I could also see looking at... No, I was going to say that we might assume that there's going to be a mid-season gap. So, like, episode 10 would be a finale. And then episode 11 would be sort of like a mid-season premiere, like they did for season 1. And it is noteworthy, episode 9 and 10 are a 2-parter, and episodes 11 and 12 are a 2-parter. But I don't know, the names kind of line up. I could see us potentially resolving this timeline plot around mid-season, and then we go do something else. Like maybe we unify Gwen's story and I'll say Del's story. He's basically the main character of this bunch. Yeah, I mean, I guess I wonder where they go from here. I guess maybe they go back through the anomaly to try and go back to Janeway, or they try and follow the Protostar. You could take it a few ways. I mean, well, surely you can't follow the Protostar. I don't think it's damaged because it could get to Tars Lamor. But obviously, it's got the Protostar drive, and the Infinity doesn't, unless we're saying you flit like some sort of slipstream in there. But yeah, again, I guess I'm just interested to see where it goes. And hey, I've now talked about this episode for longer than the episode. It's just the episode is short. So yeah, I think I'm going to wrap it up there again. No resto stream today, just because of my throat. I think we'll see. We'll give it like till episode 5. Whoops. I dropped something. Yeah, we'll give it to episode 5 to see if I actually have enough to talk about the episodes to justify doing them like this. I could batch them, because part of me also just wants to go, like, finish the series. But I do like doing the reviews, and I want to go through them like I normally would, even though this is like a 20-episode season. We'll see. I mean, let me know in the comments, not the live comments, because, like, no one's here, but in the comments of the videos, what you'd rather. I could just, on Saturday, do a massive review of, like, the whole season or everything I haven't covered already. I really don't know. This is kind of an experiment, and Prodigy's weird as well, because it's short. I mean, with Season 2, I was hitting, like, 45 minutes on average. Sorry, with the last half of Season 1, when I was doing live streams. But yeah, sometimes you get an episode that just doesn't review for long, and sometimes you get episodes that, or just story types that are really hard to review. Like, that was one of Discovery's problems. But yeah, I will say thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you next time!